David. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Nice to finally connect.
Awesome, awesome, David. So, David, how was your day so far?
Not bad. Not bad. That's getting towards the end of it, so it's good for me. How about you?
I'm doing well, David. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for giving me your time today. And
Yeah.
David, your self-titled album is to be out on June 7th. So, would you like to tell me about the making of this new album?
Yeah, for sure. So the album is the first of four chapters in a feature-length anthology, which is based around a screenplay that I've written for the project, which tells the story of an impoverished 11th century knight and his journey to through the world of the First Crusade. So the first album is just like I said, the first chapter of that. I've already done one of the tracks. I worked with an illustrator, an animator to get that first track animated so you can kind of see the first bit of the story. But going forward, every one of the tracks, not only on this album, but on the subsequent three albums, will have its own animation. I'm going to work with different animators, different artists on each one. So it's going to have sort of an anthology feel. But yeah, that's kind of the story behind the album in general. But the making of it, I mean, it's been a couple years in the making. I'm not sure if we spoke for my last album, Pillaging Villagers. I don't know if we connected about that
Yeah.
a couple years back. I seem to remember something like that. But after I kind of released that album, I wanted to do something really different. Whereas Pillaging Villagers was very kind of short form, more just like a punch to the face to the listener. This is more of a slow burn, kind of a long evolving sort of epic where I kind of play with the ideas of like keynote melodies from symphonic music, as well as sort of the synth wave orientation, so more of an electronic feel. But yeah, I talk a lot, but that's sort of the gist.
Awesome, awesome. And that's how you spoke about four album anthology from this concept album, but is these albums have something connected with each other?
Yeah, so all the albums is essentially the entire album is one track. So if you listen to the first or one song, so if you listen to the first album, it's broken up into four tracks, but all the songs connect. They all bleed into each other, and then they also use what I refer to as keynote melodies throughout the entire composition. So you'll hear a lot of melodies repeated, modulated, time signature changes. So the entire composition is intended to be sort of along the lines of like cinematic music, like you hear like a soundtrack or something along those lines. And that's really what I wanted to experiment with this piece or this composition is just to kind of play with this idea of this evolving melody. You kind of write these strong melodies and just kind of reference them throughout the story as sort of a storytelling device. So it was kind of I had to kind of explore a more of a longer composition in order to see that through.
Fantastic, fantastic. And an amazing cover art that goes behind this album. So would you like to tell me the work behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really, with this project, wanted to work with like real artists, real animators, and I had the privilege to work with Chris Anderson, who's one of my favorite artists from Heavy Metal Magazine, to actually get the cover. I wanted to have kind of sequential feel to it, or more of a kind of like a comic book style, where it kind of tells the story as part of a larger panel. And actually, the album cover that you've already seen, the one for the first album is actually just one part of a larger piece. So
Mhm.
once all four albums are released, you'll be able to put them together like a puzzle, and you'll see the larger image kind of come to life. But yeah, I was really happy to be able to work with Chris. I provided him, kind of minimal guidance on what the story was and kind of what different elements to include, and he kind of ran with it. What I really love about it is that sort of dense you can sort of just look at it for a long period of time. Very similar to what I did with Pillaging Villagers or the album cover for that, but that's a style that I really like and one that I think really kind of captures the kind of feel of the music.
Beautiful, beautiful. And speaking of the album, four amazing songs. As per you, it's a song split into four songs, but a great work, I would say. Amazing composition and beautifully done instrumental music, which has without genre specific. It has a blend of everything input inside of it. A great work from you guys. So thank you so much for putting up this awesome instrumental album this year. And how do you guys feel about the outcome of this new album?
Yeah, I think it worked out real well. I got to work with same producer I worked with on Pillaging Villagers, Adam Tucker at Signature Tone Recordings in Minnesota. So he's just a really good partner on kind of getting the vision, kind of put together. And a lot of it, more than any other thing I've done in the past, a lot of it really relied on sort of like sound design and wave shaping. So like with Pillaging Villagers, for example, I essentially picked one guitar tone, one bass tone, one drum kit, and a couple of synths for bagpipe and organ. With this album, however, like every sound you hear is a different synthesizer wave shape, right? Within the first song, maybe there's 2 or 3 dozen individual synth sounds, and all that had to be kind of designed on my part and to pick the right kind of sounds for the feel I was going for. So it's a much greater level of involvement in the composition than I've ever done in the past. So I hope that when people listen to it, they can kind of appreciate the level of effort that goes into crafting something at that level. I really tried to, again, take influence from kind of symphonic music where, if you're composing a piece of symphonic music, every individual instrument has its own contribution to make. I try to make the synths sort of stand in for the different pieces of an orchestra. So that was definitely a challenge that Adam at Signature Tone was really up for and did a great job.
Fantastic. And you have any big plans on the day of the release on June 7th?
Yeah, I think my biggest plan is just I want to continue to put out more videos to kind of flesh out the rest of the story. I hope that when people enjoy or when they listen to music, I hope they enjoy it, as a standalone piece. But I really think that where it stands out is unique from sort of the rest of what's out there today, is that it does have this soundtrack element, and that every moment of the music is so precisely tailored to this screenplay, as you see in the video produced by Vincent Kings, who's the other artist I work with. So I think the next step is to kind of get that going. I'm hoping that I can get some support from folks that are listening to it. When I released Pillaging Villagers, I was really surprised at how many people connected with me across the world, buying the album on Bandcamp and stuff like that. So I'm hoping for a similar response that'll kind of help me take that next step financially to producing these videos and just kind of grow from there. Beyond that, I'm just going to keep working on releasing the rest of the albums. All the albums are written at this point. It's just a matter of wave shaping and production. So I'll probably spend the next like 6 or so months kind of getting the next album put together from a wave shaping standpoint, and then look to release it probably around the same time next year. So those are kind of the immediate plans.
Fantastic. You also made the video for an amazing illustrious video for Giganite Chartarium. And I know you spoke about a bit in the introduction, but would you like to tell me the work behind the making of this video and the people behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So again, I was really privileged to work with an amazing artist. This guy, Vincent Kings, they're one of my favorite artists from Heavy Metal Magazine. And really what his role was taking the screenplay that I've written, which is, pretty minutely detailed and more specifically tied to the music itself. So taking that screenplay and then kind of formulating and creating visuals for it. And that I really wanted to, as I hope to with the rest of the pieces or the rest of the tracks, is to kind of give a lot of license to the artist to kind of interpret the material on their own. And I gave them pretty minimal direction in terms of the way that I wanted things. Obviously, the screenplay gave them direction on what needs to happen when. But as far as the design of the characters, of the scenes, I really wanted to kind of that show through his own, artistic sort of vision. So yeah, he was awesome to work with. It was a matter of, he would present concepts to me and I would kind of bounce them back. But I really felt like we collaborated on kind of the final product, but I definitely couldn't have done it without him. It was a real treat to work with him, and hopefully people can see what an amazing artist he is when they see the video. I also hope that it kind of connects to the, you're able to see just how closely everything is tailored, like all the as the synths build, as the drums build, the visuals become more intense. They change, they evolve. So I hope people can kind of see that and kind of get their hopes up for the additional videos to come.
Yes, fantastic. And will there be any kind of touring involved to go along with this album?
Good question. Not at this time. So I've kind of settled into the sort of studio artist lifestyle. I'm not haven't planned any tours or even live shows at this point. So maybe in the future, if I can put something together from a live performance standpoint. But right now, it's just a studio project.
Gotcha. And I know you from Pillaging Villagers, and how did it all happen and how you started Cruce Signatus? Would you like to tell me a bit about the story behind it?
For so the story behind what?
Forming the new band Cruce Signatus?
Yeah, so like I said, once Pillaging Villagers got released, I'd worked on it for about a year before putting it out, and towards the end of the process, I was like, I started to write longer songs. I think if you recall Pillaging Villagers, I know you listen to a lot of music, but there's a song on that album that's called The Crisis, and it's very different from the rest of the album. So the song on the album, it's 8 minutes long. It doesn't have any of the sort of thrash stylings, and that was the last song I wrote for Pillaging Villagers, and that kind of got me thinking. Okay, I really want to do some more exploration of not just longer, stuff that kind of takes the listener's patience to kind of evolve and just pay off in that way, but also to kind of do something different musically. Pillaging Villagers is great, but it's pretty much an amalgamation of folk punk and thrash metal. It's not really anything super original or that has anything that's people can kind of connect with it as things that they've heard element wise. Whereas Cruce Signatus, I tried to do something very different. Take synthesizers, make them the lead. Obviously it's influenced from synthwave, but it's much heavier. It's got much more integration of guitars. It's much more sort of symphonically oriented or cinematically oriented. So I really wanted to those are kind of the two things that kind of inspired me. Doing something very different from Pillaging Villagers, and then also kind of trying to do something different from kind of what the rest of the metal field is doing. So that's kind of how I got into where I am today, and just the storytelling element kind of came from that.
Yes. And your future focus is it going to be more on Cruce Signatus or how is it going to work for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I at this point I don't see doing anything else for Pillaging Villagers, at least in the short term. I mean, maybe ever. I mean, for me, it was like Pillaging Villagers is such like like a passion project that I've kind of like been thinking about for a long time, and just kind of it took me a long time to kind of sit down and put it together. I think it just really stands on its own as a piece. I don't know if I have anything to say anything else to say creatively in that format. I think it's just like if I were to put out more, folk punk thrash, it would just sound very similar, and it wouldn't have much more to say from that. But who knows? Maybe in the future I'll feel the itch and get back into it. But right now the focus is really on Cruce Signatus, probably for the next 2-3 years, if not longer. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes in the future. What music I want to explore after I'm done with Cruce Signatus.
Yes. And what is the plan for you releasing all these four albums? Do you have a time?
Yeah, yeah, I'll probably release one every year for the next 3 years. That's kind of my tentative goal. I think the more important aspect is the videos. I really want to get those fleshed out, at least for the first album. So that people kind of see where I'm heading, and then hopefully I can kind of, like I said, build some support. It's going to be a long-term project, but the goal is to have every one of the tracks have its own video to the point where it's its own feature-length piece, and then I would put it together as part of almost like a movie release. Nothing in theaters or anything like that. More just like on YouTube or on platforms like that, where I can kind of put all those pieces together, and then people can see the entire story. With the music that you hear as the sole sound. It's all a silent film with music as the sort of storytelling device.
Yes. And like I said, you have plans to make it as a movie, but are there plans since you have an amazing illustration and a storyline behind it? Do you have plans to do something like a book for this concept album?
That's a great question. Yeah, so in speaking with Vincent, the other guy who did the animation for the first track, that's something that he, expressed some interest in. I would love to get like a, not if not a print, but at least a web-based illustrated version of it. I'd love to partner with something like Heavy Metal Magazine, which is now defunct. But if they ever get back going again, I think it'd make a great addition to that publication. So that's something I've definitely thought about. It seems a little far-fetched, but stranger things have happened. So that would be cool if that were to come to pass. But I think the focus is really on the videos at this point. But we'll see.
Fantastic. I know it's too much to ask, but what happens after this completion of all these 4 albums?
Oh man, it's hard to say. Hard to say. I mean, I think I'm kind of always changing my kind of orientation creatively when it comes to music. Once I kind of got done with this album, I was like, okay, I worked on it for 2 years, and I was like, okay, let's do something different. So I actually picked up the banjo. So I'm learning banjo now to try to I don't know, just take on a different challenge. I'm not really that big of I'm not big into banjo music, so it was kind of cool to pick up an instrument that I've always liked and always enjoyed the sound of, but that I don't have much frame of reference with, and just trying to let my experience with the instrument kind of be shaped by the instructor that I'm working with, and kind of learning the music as I'm learning the instrument. So I can kind of see doing some almost folk music in the future. That would be awesome. A great turn in a different direction again. I hope with every new thing I do to kind of surprise people. Oh, he's doing that now, or oh, that's really different. I'm really inspired by folks like Devin Townsend. I feel like every time he releases something, it's completely different. He doesn't really stick with the trends or trying to please people that are his fans. So I think I'm kind of in that band as well. But yeah, who knows? I'm really focused on this project though, and it's hard to kind of look past it. But I definitely see if I do anything in the future beyond this, it'll be something very different, a different turn from even what I've already done.
Awesome. And David, finally, any message that you have for the fans around the world?
Yeah, I guess I would just say I hope everyone enjoys it. I really work super hard on creating something that's very different. I think if folks are interested in it, they listen to it and they say, hey, this is really awesome, or if they watch the video and they say they'd like to see more of this, I really encourage you to connect with me on Bandcamp or even on Patreon. Even just a small buying the album for $5, or doing a $5 monthly or something like that on Patreon subscription. And we'll, give benefits and all sorts of perks to folks that do that. But it's a great way to support independent music. And if you're interested in this particular, project, it's one way that we can get those, additional pieces, whether it's albums or videos, out just more quickly. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, I just hope everyone really enjoys the music and that they're able to, just hear something new and hope it connects with them.
Awesome. And David, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have you on this interview. And thank you so much for putting up this amazing self-titled album this June 7th. So thanks for all the musical awesomeness that you have given over the years. And I wish you all the best. And I'm really hoping to see you someday on the road.
Definitely. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. I gotta thank you for all you do for the scene. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David. And you have a great evening and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.